I don't know about you, but I have been seeing brown sugar makeup and latte makeup just taking over my feed. So today I wanted to create my own take on those looks. I'm testing out some new launches as well as sharing some old favorites, and I'll teach you my techniques as I go to make this really simple and easy to execute. And all of the products that I feature today will be linked down below in the description box. Let's get into the tutorial. First, I want to prep and prime my skin so that we have a nice base for the foundation to sit on. I'm gonna be using the One Size Secure the Glow Primer. This is Patrick Starr's brand. And I'm going to mix in some of the Tula Bronze Boost Glow Bronzing Drops. This is a great way to warm up any primer. And I'm just gonna apply this with my hands. So first I'm gonna do a pump of the primer just like that. And then I'm gonna add a little tiny pump of this. You really don't need a lot here. And as I mix it together, you'll see that bronzy color really start to come through, and this is just gonna help warm up my skin tone overall. Might skip this in the summer if I'm a bit more naturally sun-kissed, but as we head into the warmer months, I like to maintain a little bit of the glow. For my foundation today, I'm gonna go in with the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation, and I am wearing the shade Light 2. I actually did go into the Glossier store in Soho to get shade matched for this, and I'm glad I did that because I feel like the undertone and everything is honestly perfect for me. I'm gonna take a couple of pumps like that directly on my skin, and then I'm gonna use a damp Real Techniques beauty sponge to blend it out. I really like this formula because it's not too heavy, but I definitely feel like it evens out my skin tone and covers any redness or irritation. Don't forget to blend down your neck too. I used to not do that in like some of my first beauty tutorials on YouTube, and it's a major jump scare, like watching those back. Now, normally next I would do concealer, but I've been seeing a lot of girls, especially on TikTok lately, do bronzer first and then concealer to kind of like cut the bronzer a little better and just to be able to clean up the bronzer, because sometimes I feel like bronzer can get messy. So I'm gonna try that. I actually think that's a really smart idea. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go in with this Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick. I absolutely love this. I have the shade Light. I bought this myself from Sephora during one of the Sephora sales. I can't remember which one. And I am just gonna take that directly onto my skin. I really just like to hit the hollows of my cheeks, a bit of my forehead, right underneath my chin, and then my nose to do a little nose contour. And I'm gonna blend it with the Sigma Small Contour Brush. This is the F05. And I feel like the key here is just being really patient and blending out all the way. You can see between that and the bronzing drops how much warmer and glowy my skin is looking. Now it's time to conceal. I am going to be using my current favorite concealer. This is the Tower 28 Serum Concealer. I'm using the shade Downtown LA. This is literally the creamiest, dreamiest concealer. I'm gonna focus this around my under eyes, a little by my nose, and then around my chin, because that's where I tend to break out the most. Blending up through the eye area to kind of like lift and brighten that under eye area. Make me look like I've had 2 cups of coffee, even if I haven't yet. And once I'm done blending out the chin area, I am gonna take that excess concealer and just use it to kind of shape or fix my contour if I notice it went a little too far down, just kind of clean it up. Let's move on to the eyes. I recently tested a bunch of different eyeshadow primers, and I've kind of narrowed down some of my top favorites, and I would say this one is definitely in the mix, and it's a drugstore find. So this is the Wet n Wild Mega Last Eyeshadow Primer. I absolutely love this formula. I just take the littlest dot on my ring fingers, and I just tap it in and blend it so it's nice and smooth across my eyelids. I do wish this primer came with a doe foot applicator, but you can also just use your fingers like I'm doing right here, or use any brush as well. Like a small dense eyeshadow brush or a concealer brush would probably work fine. My eyes are primed. Let's go in with some eyeshadows, and I feel like there is no brown eyeshadow palette quite like this one from Makeup by Mario. This is the Master Matte's original palette. I was thinking about buying this for such a long time, and I finally bit the bullet. I got influenced watching Samantha Nicole. If you guys follow her, I will link her YouTube down below. Everything about it looked incredible. So yes, I was influenced, but I mean, can you blame me? This is just the perfect matte brown eyeshadow palette. I really like that it contains both cool and warm toned neutral shades. To start and give myself a solid base, I think I'm gonna cover my whole lid with this shade, which is matte 3. I think that's honestly like my perfect neutral from this palette. To warm things up a little bit, I'm going to go in with this shade, matte 7. I'm just gonna start by popping this in my crease area. Like I said with the bronzer, I feel like one of the keys with eyeshadow is just being patient and being willing to really blend a product out so that it looks the best it can be. Especially with an eyeshadow palette like this, where the mattes are so matte and the pigments are so pigmented. Just being patient and also knowing that you can always add more, but it's harder to take away than to add. That's what I always tell myself anyway, and honestly, sometimes that is half of it. So I am gonna go in and add a little bit more here. Before we go any further with the eyeshadow, I wanted to talk about brows. So before I started filming, I filled in my brows with this. This is the IT Cosmetics Brow Power in the shade Universal Taupe. So I just lightly filled in mostly around the front of my brows with the pencil. But now is the fun part. So I'm gonna be using the Milk Makeup Cush Brow Lamination Gel to fluff up my eyebrows. This is actually such an insane product. I love how fluffed up they look, and it really locks everything in place. I feel like it looks like I just got my brows done. You can already see the difference between this brow and this brow. Let's do the other side. And then one tip I have for clear brow gels is just to wipe as much of the excess off of the wand before you apply it as possible so that you don't get any clumps or flakes. Especially if you're a brunette like me, then it's very noticeable when you do have clumps and flakes. Okay, so I'm popping back into this palette to use matte 1 to just highlight underneath my brow bone, make sure that the eyeshadow I did previously isn't creeping too high up next to the brow. This also kind of helps soften the edge of the eyeshadow. Sometimes even after you blend a lot, it's like you could still do more. Here's how the eyes are looking so far. Taking a little bit more of the base shade that I first used in my inner corner just to brighten that up. Next, I'm gonna pick up this shade Matte 6 and just pop that in the outer corner. Since this is the darkest color I'm attempting so far, I'm just picking up the teeniest, tiniest amount of it right now. Just adding a little bit more dimension to the eye. One thing I love about this palette is I pretty much experience no fallout, which is nice. Like, these eyeshadow formulas are really, really good. Oh, and everything I'm using today will of course be linked down below in the description box. I'm gonna continue with the browns on the eyes, and I'm actually going to use brown liquid eyeliner. This is the ColourPop BFF liquid liner in the shade Grande. Just gonna give it a little shake. Sometimes I find that the liquid liners can dry out a little quickly, so I just try to be patient and do what I can. And I'm just gonna drag this gently along my upper lash line. Sometimes I like tug and make really weird faces when I do liquid eyeliner, so sometimes I feel a little better if I just do it off camera so you don't have to watch that. So let me finish this and I'll be right back. Let's move on to lashes. So I have started using an eyelash primer, and I swear it is a game changer. This is the Lancome Kliss Boost Extra. What? This is the Lancome Kliss Booster XL Mascara Primer. It's in a white tube and it is white. Again, for this, I just like to wipe the excess product off of the brush so that I don't get any clumps, but I will say this is a super smooth formula. Like, I really don't notice any clumps when I apply it. So I just like to give my lashes a solid coat of this. It really just helps lengthen and separate, and I feel like it does help the mascara last longer. Second eye done. This one looks much whiter in person than this one. Let me know if you guys have ever tried a mascara primer before. Now, I'm not just gonna go walking around like this, so for my mascara, I'm using the Milk Makeup Cush Mascara. This is probably one of my all-time favorite formulas. I love the thick brush, I love how it adds volume, and I love that I very rarely experience any flakes, especially like with the primer, I will add. That always helps. Absolutely love how this is coming along. Now, I've become a big blush girl lately, but I'm omitting blush for this look because I really want to focus on that kind of brown sugar, very warm, very fall makeup look. And I know I did contour, but what I'm going to do, because that was a cream contour, is layer a powdered bronzer on top of that, and I think that's going to fill the blush void in my heart. And I just got sent this from Lancome, so I'm so excited about this. This is the Lancome CE Skin Transforming Bronzer. I'm using the shade 3, which is light medium. Oh wait, you guys can do this with me, ready? That is literally so satisfying and I can't explain why. To apply this product, I'm going to use a stippled brush. I actually have used this Sigma one so much that the name has faded off. I can't see what it's called. I feel like it's the F40 brush, but if I'm wrong, I'll obviously put the product name on the screen. This is a very well-loved brush of mine. Oop, got a little bit of fallout, but I feel like that's typical the first time you touch a brush to a new product like this. It happened to me with the Wander blushes, well, one of them. Just like to tap off the excess product, and I'm gonna just tap this on very lightly to start. And I'm going to try to place this bronzer almost where I would place a powdered blush, so it's gonna be a little higher up on my cheekbone. And then I'm also going to kind of create like a little C here and drag it up above my brow bone just to create basically like what a natural shadow would look like on my skin. I'm like so happy to be back in my beauty YouTuber era. If you're newer or this is one of my first videos you're watching, first of all, please subscribe. But I basically just made some updates and announcements on my channel lately. I really just want to share more of what I love, more of my personality, fashion, beauty, life in New York City, being self-employed. So if any of that's of interest to you, definitely stick around. I love how this is looking with the bronzer because the contour was actually very cool toned and this is definitely more warm toned. And just take any leftover product and kind of go over the areas again where I put the contour the first time. Bring the product down my neck a little as well. If I happen to notice any little lines or creasing forming, I will just gently tap over them with my beauty sponge, as long as it's before I apply powder. Let's go in with some setting powder. So today I'm using the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Pressed Powder in the color yellow. I don't know if yellow is like exactly the right shade for me, but it's the shade that I was gifted, so I have been using it. I actually like using this e.l.f. blush brush to do this, and I just pick up the teeniest bit and I press in over pretty much where I put concealer or where I tend to get lines, just so that the product doesn't like settle into my skin. A little bit across the forehead and around my chin area. I used to do powder all over my face and I would hate how matted down it made everything look, but by applying powder just to more specific points of my face, I'm not losing the glow from the foundation or the primer or the bronzing drops that I used. And of course, this would not be complete without the lips. I wanted to try out a new lip shaper that Lancome sent me. This is the Lancome Lip Idol Lip Shaper in the shade Nude Now. I'm gonna use this to apply it because Lancome. Just absolutely love this packaging also, like the tortoise shell. So this is turning out to be a little more pink than nude, but that's okay. Just making sure the outside line is nice and sharp and then kind of smudging it inward with my finger. Okay, and to tie it all together, I am going to be using my current favorite lip gloss formula. These are so good, and this is another drugstore find. It's the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Yummy Gloss, and I'm using the shade Sunset Skies. I feel like it's very rare for me to like use up lip glosses, and this has just been my go-to fall color. And to lock everything in place, I am going to use a setting spray. This is the One Size On Till Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray. This is the mini size, by the way. It comes in a bigger size. Give it a little shake. That one literally feels so light. It almost feels like nothing is going on your face. So if you don't like a wet setting spray, this is the one. Here is the finished look. I thought I would be missing the blush a lot more, but honestly, I just love all of the brown tones, from the eyes to the cheeks to even the lips, even though the lips have a slight pink tint to it. So it's not like totally matchy-matchy. I really feel like it all comes together so nicely. Definitely will be wearing this makeup on repeat throughout the fall. fall months. If you enjoyed this tutorial, leave the little brown heart emoji in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite product is that I used today, or if you have any of these products and what you think of them. And if you have any questions about these products or suggestions for future beauty videos on my channel, leave your suggestions and thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for new videos every week, and I will see you all in the next one.